Kidweki muramshane Mende. Chinpi rangibe yar, Beritioma Tavonjahe. Ankism Kidamlasan hing up Niger Dahana Diaya.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa Rabbil Alameen. As-salatu salam ala Rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Halim wa salim bikum. Salamu alaykum. Rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Lil ikwani kwati fi din. Salamu ala mani taba huda lil ikwani kwati fi Africa, Europa, America, or Caribbean, or Kuli Makan. Inna niote lekum Malikati wa equity fi samai. Salamu alaikum rahmatkatu. Inani of the lekum amtanani wa shukri. My dear brothers and sisters in my Fulbe community, Anzurama as-salam, Jawtali, Alhamdulillah, Jamwali. Okay, my brothers and sisters, today I'm going to embark on something talking about the mystery of the, as we know, the Hausa word for the Fulani is Fulani. And we use it for educational purposes, but we'll go over this and other names and so forth. But it's important that we understand the fact about this migration that took place, what happened. If you look in Google, there's so much confusion about the Fotofola people, about the Fulbe, Pulo. There's many names that we're known by. And there's a lot of confusion. Even some said we're from Europe. Others said we're from Asia. Others said that we're from Jazeera Arab and so forth. But all of the statistics and the DNA evidence suggests that we are from Kemt. Kemt, as you know, is Egypt, as we know this in English. Our ancestral brothers known this region as Ta-Meri and Kemt. And it's important, brothers and sisters, that we understand that I'm going to go something into this. We don't have 100% accuracy and proof of everything because of the nomadic nature of my people, the Fulani people, the Fula people, Fotofola people. It's very difficult. Plus, we don't have all the records because thanks to the Tubab and there's invasions, and in the 300s, which I'll go over, they finally murdered all of the rest of the Kemtiyu, which means black man and his family, murdered them and took documents and burned them and burned down the suppository, so there'd be no evidence of the civilization except that of the Romans and Greeks and the Persians who were then managing that region. It caused a big exodus. And that exodus was so massive, which we'll get into. The Fotofola community is a very interesting one. It's under a lot of fire for obvious reasons because of things that's happened. Let's honor our guest here. We have here our brother here. Wa alaikum salam. Thank you, my dear brother. Thank you. Anjarama, Mayate. Thank you, my dear brother. Thank you very much. Oh, hey, how you doing, my dear brother? Thank you very much for showing up. Thank you. I remember you from King Cam's program. Thank you, my dear brother. Really, really appreciate that. Thank you very much, my dear brother. And King Cam, how you doing, my dear brother? Thank you very much for showing up today. And our dear brother, please subscribe. Me and him had an interesting program here the other day, and please check that out. Very, very interesting discussion we had. And please subscribe to our dear brother's station. Please subscribe. And he's giving his salam to everybody. And our dear brother is giving his salam back to King Cam. Thank you very much. And our brother here is returning the salam. Thank you all for showing up, and I'm hoping those who show up in the future and so forth and so on for this program, because this is a lot of research I've done over the years. And again, we do not have all of the evidence because what has been destroyed and because of the language changes. We went from Metneher to a modern Metneher, which was changed to vowels, and then we went into different other dialects until we got to the dialects that we have today, which are many of the Fotofola dialects, ranging from the Messina dialect, Pular, all the way to the Sudanese Fulfulde, So we have many different, dialects. What's interesting here, brothers and sisters, is this migration. It was a trail of tears. You think about something. Our West African families, we're talking about the Siri, the Sanike, the Mendinka, the Mende, Capelli, Chombo, all of these, Wolof, Jolof, Akan, all of these, Igbo, Yoruba, our home was Kemt. You think about this beautiful, lush land with the water that was blessed by Subhanahu wa Ta'ala was home to the prototype Africans, and then the Kemtiyu. Then they went and they had to migrate to other areas because of the invasions from the Tuba. And they left, and you can imagine they had to go into foreign areas that they were not familiar with. I can imagine how many people died, how many actually got hurt, and they had to guide their way until they found regions where they could settle. The Fotofola community, it was a different situation for them to a degree. I'll get more into that. And as we have another brother here showed up here. Thank you very much, my dear brother. Thank you very much. Walaikum salam, Anzarama. Thank you very much, my dear brother, for showing up. And brothers, our brother again says greetings to him as well. So now we will look into this. Brothers and sisters, when you think about this situation and you look at about the Fotofola community, especially from the 18th dynasties, okay, to about the 25th dynasties, the Fotofola people had changed in appearance and color and mannerisms. This is a significant situation. If you look at the murals, even Ramses, we believe Ramses to be in the family of the Fotofola and whatnot. You'll say, well, what about the Ethiopians? Ethiopia, we know that is Habasha. This Ethiopia is a name that was given by the Europeans. We know this region as Habasha. And this is what, and even they know this is the name, but we also know in ancient times, this region we know as Kasha, and we are Seti and Ta-Neheshi, this region right there. And so they were depicted in murals as beautiful people. If you look at the murals, especially Czech Diop, he has some of those, and I forgot there's some other ones. You look at these murals, you see beautiful people in braids. Man, look at Ramses. There were 10 Ramses, all pharaohs, and you look at them. All the Ramses were depicted as beautiful. The braid hanging down. You look at the women that they showed in the murals as well. From the 18th dynasties to about the 25th, you look at these murals. You see beautiful, beautiful people depicted. And they know them as Sau. And I'll get into these names. I'll get more into this as we go on. But they were depicted as beautiful people. And the women were depicted like this situation here. They were depicted, they talked about their color of the skin, and they talked about their hair texture and the braids that they had, and the lusciousness of the Fulani woman, and so forth and so on. And this is a depiction of how they possibly looked, because we showed them in the murals with long, beautiful braids, and so forth and so on. So even way back thousands of years, our Fulani sisters were known for their beauty and their hairstyles, which we carry on even today. The African Americans who braid their hair, who don't care one thing about Africa, and their stupidity and ignorance, not all African Americans, but we have a lot. I got relatives, matter of fact, I had a war with one relative who is so lost, he might as well be a Tuba. He is lost. But these braids and the way we do things, you think that it was created by the hood. It's not. Our sisters and brothers are wearing this way, way back, especially from the 18th dynasties of Kempt to the 25th, you see this type of thing. You see the sisters in this type. You look at the facial features of our sisters on the mural. You see these beautiful, beautiful women. Very, very interesting. Very, very, very interesting. And so this is, again, something, brothers and sisters, that I'm going to get further into. Now, we are talking about the Exodus. The Exodus was a major situation that occurred. Our West African brothers and sisters went to the west, and then they began to go south. So if we look at a map of this, you see, okay, this modern map of Egypt to your right-hand corner. They left this region, they start to head southwards. And you're talking about the Akan, you're talking about the Hausa, you're talking about the Igbo people, the Chombe, the Akan, all of our famous brothers from West Africa, the Kapele, Mende, Mendinka, all of these clans left, and they then went south, as you know, Chad, and it start to go into West Africa as we understand, the coastal region as we understand it. But our Futafula brothers and sisters did two things. In the early parts, they left Kemt, which is Egypt here, and went and settled into what we know as Habasha, as you know, as Ethiopia. The other part of the Fulani people went across to North Africa, and that's where they made their mainstay. So they left and went into Libya, Algeria. This is modern, of course, in modern, so we have a graphic and so forth. And I'll talk about Morocco here in a bit as well. But they stayed more to the right, to the north, where the desert was present, but they still had some areas of lusciousness and so forth. As you see today, you go through parts of Libya, through the desert, you'll come miles and miles, a sea of sand. And suddenly you'll come across beautiful oases. You'll find this everywhere in the Sahara. It is absolutely strikingly beautiful, brothers and sisters. You walk and you see nothing but a sea of sand. You go through sand dunes. Suddenly you go up a sand dune and you get ready to go down. You look in a valley, there's date palms. I mean, it is absolutely beautiful. And you try to ask how these date palms survive. But I am under the impression that Subhanahu wa ta'ala, because he has his hand in Africa, in Africa, or the names that we want to call it, and he put these things for the travelers in the Sahara, because those dates that they got there are natural dates, and they eat the dates. And you know everything about the dates. It's one of the most nutritious fruits in the world. It's one of the most nutritious fruits that you can eat, and you can survive off the dates, and you won't come up with any with scurvy or any other anemia, anything like that. So Subhanahu wa ta'ala put those dates and those date palms everywhere. So now the Exodus, I'm going to talk about, because of 300 AD, the Exodus that transpired. The Roman Church decided enough is enough with the Kemtiyu. They had enough. They want to take over. They want to be able to claim Egypt for, Kemt for themselves. So the Pope, and they tried to deny this, but we have evidence that we know they did do this. They commissioned a war, and this war was selective. This war was to kill off the remaining black people who were in Lower Egypt. Lower Egypt, again, if you understand, is up as northern Egypt. It's called Lower Egypt. Okay, this is where, because of the gravity, and they decided to go to, I forget what, cataract, and start to murdering. And they began to murder, and they killed all the scribes, burnt down suppositories, and chased a lot of the Futafula, the Hausa, the Akan, all of the remaining black folk, the Kemtiyu, and they went further south, and then they began to make the exodus. They had enough. and they left. And they started going further south, then further southeast, and then they went to the west. And this is how this migration happened. It was a trail of tears, brothers and sisters, a trail of tears. They had to leave in droves out. It's in the same relation as you see today with the Tubab. When it's very difficult for Black folk to live around the Tubab, because the Tubab, as a general rule, not all, we know, especially the generation today, my grandsons and all that, I see, it's changed tremendously. The Tubab Americans are more tolerant in their generation. In my generation, it was a healthy separation between us. But we could not live in their communities, and they could not live in our communities. It was just like dogs and cats. We just couldn't get along. And so our people have been going back to the South on and off in Ta-Meri for many years, especially many dynasties. Because some of the dynasties, like the 10th, I think through the 10th to near to 14th, I think dynasties was controlled a lot by Tubab, and also the mixed Black race, Assyrians and so forth, kept invading, driving the Kemtiyu further south again. So this process was going on and off. But the Trail of Tears, brothers and sisters, with the Fotofola, because this is my people, I'm talking about them in this instance today. When they left from Egypt, they were still, as a beautiful people, they had their cattle. The men were strikingly beautiful. The woman was strikingly beautiful. And this was noted. And that's, before we get more, let me honor what our brothers and sisters are saying here. With our brothers and sisters, most of our and how say they came from the east of the Nile. Yes, they went and they became, and I'll get more into this because now we have evidence of cranial measurements. And I'll just say this, the cranial measurements of the people from Ethiopia, but Habasha, that's what we know is the name current, the more modern name is Habasha. We found the correlation between the Fotofola and the Habashi. See, so we see that, and we found cranial, and we've had an expert who's a Tubab who made the discovery. So that means essentially we were the same people, but we have drifted for thousands and thousands of years. And because of that natural selection, you're going to have DNA differences and so forth and so on. But our cranial measurements and body types are the same. That's why you notice today, you heard what I said when I was in Sudan. When my guide who was helping me take me all through, Sudan and everything, he tried to explain to me, there's the two girls, which he knew who they were. He asked me which one was Fulani and which one was Ethiopian. I could not tell. To be honest, brother, I could not tell. I could not tell who was whom. And also with the Somali people as well, we're all, essentially blood relatives. We look very much alike. You bring somebody from Somalia, you put them among the Fotofola, we cannot tell until he speak. Same thing with the Fotofola people. When we bring them and put them in Habasha, until they hear them speak, that's how they know that they are from somewhere else. But they look just alike. Our brother said, I heard that, oh yes. The dates are, we know in the Arabic language it's tamar. This is what we call dates but there's other names for it also when it's dried and so forth, but I don't want to bog you down in Arabic. But tamar in Arabic is what we call dates. And it is very, very nutritious and so forth and so on. And our brother here says we are original Africans, very ancient people. And if you know about the narratives about, no, I don't, what narratives? I don't know what the narratives, yes, dear brother, we have established that we are ancient people. That is no doubt about that. Because if you look at the DNA and so forth and so on, we are ancient people. But the contention, what we have is when and where and so forth. We don't have that because thanks to the Tubab destroyed many of our scholars, killed them, and burned documents. And some of the documents ended up in their suppositories and libraries in Europe until now they start to turn some of these things over. So we start to find out. We uncovered murals that were buried. We found Fotofola people, prototype Fotofola, and we saw inscriptions of names like Sao. Okay, and I'll get more into this. I don't want to get ahead of the story here. So now, brothers and sisters, we have the exodus that has taken place. It's exodus of tears. You think about you leaving your homeland. You're forced to leave something. Your children were born there. Your grandparents, all your family was born there. And now you've been forced by an invader who has driven you out. Now you have to go across to find new pastures and away from the Tubab. This is essentially the matter, the crux of it. It's not something we can sugarcoat. The Tubab, the Romans, the Greeks, and everything, now they have taken over. They were vicious in their occupation, as they always have been. And they killed thousands of Kemtiyu, killed all of the scholars. They killed the priests. They destroyed the documents. They destroyed the suppositories. So the Fotofola and all the other Africans, the Kemtiyu left, and a massive exodus to West Africa, except the Fotofola went to the north, stayed in the north. This trail of tears, brothers and sisters, was not good. And again, the distinction, how we are different than our Hausa brothers and our other brothers, is that we were still sporting braids. This is one of our trademarks, and even those from Habasha, because we are the same people. Just one went to the east, the others went to the west and settled. So now we sported braids. We supported the braids. And if you saw the caption, especially the 20, when Ramses, the 10 Ramses, I think they were the 21st and the 22nd dynasties, you saw they had a special hairstyle where they had the braids coming down. You saw my first caption that I had. Let me show you this again so you guys get another better picture of it here.
Mende. Chinpi rangibe yar, baritiyoma tavonjahe. Ankisam ke damlasin hingapna jadhana diaya.
So you saw him, and they had this special braid where they took the hair. Now, this is the Fotofola as we understand them at that time, thousands of years ago. See? And so by the 21st, 22nd, and to the 25th dynasties, this was prevalent.
Chinpi rangibe yar, baritiyoma tavonjahe. Ankisam ke damlasin hingapna jadhana diaya.
So it made us different. We look different now because of mixtures. You heard my class earlier talk about this before, because of the mixtures and so forth and so on. And we begin to be different. But this exodus was a tearful one because they had to leave their home, and we had cattle. So we had to go into no man's land. We didn't know how we were going to feed our cattle. We didn't know how we were going to give them water. But there were lush areas of the Sahara before it really actually dried up as we see it today. So this trail of tears, brothers and sisters, was nothing to laugh about. Our brothers, again, were noted for their handsomeness, and they wore braids and distinguished them, and also with the cattle. But we had people that were distinguished. The Fotofola people were distinguished. They were beautiful, and they took very good care of themselves. That's what even the murals depicted. They were beautiful, beautiful people, especially with the braids and then the colors and so forth, which we carry this tradition today. And many of us don't even know why we do it. And now you understand what has happened and how this came about. And this exodus was something to behold. And again, as you see, as we start to leave ancient Kemt, now we start to go to the Fotofolas, going through the Sahara, the desert, to get away from Ta-Meri now. It's over. Now it's time to leave. And they left. And so we had different clans at different times begin to leave. And this is a pure fact. Now, I want to get into something, brothers and sisters, quickly, which I go over another class. Now, here's the evidence to give you about why I said what I said about the people. Well, the West Africans are the ancient Egyptians. The first three dynasties in particular sported a lot of the West Africans we understand today, the Mendinka, Mende, Sire, Senike, and Hausa, okay, and the Akan. They did. The names, again, that I talked about in my previous investigation, talking about this, the previous names that they were prevalent was Sin, Sar, okay, Kara, Kara. We know that, okay, and I'll get more into these names. These were prevalent names of the pharaohs at this time. Very, very interesting. And but the first full of people were jet black in color, and they were known as Anu people. The ethnic group was called Ani, as King Cam, he talked about this issue as well. But what's striking about this is the Anu name and people came all the way, we believe, to Japan. I don't know many of you understand this, but Japan, way back in the 600s, had a sizable black African population. I don't know if you guys know about that. It's true. They have covered it, but many of the racist Japanese historians try to suppress it, but now it's starting to come out. The first samurais, all these samurai movies we see, you know, we laugh about, not laugh, but we pay money to see, we watch all these famous samurai movies from Japan. The first samurai were actually black people. That's right. Black people were present in Japan, and they finally began to disappear by the 16th century because they intermarried with Asians and so forth, and that is gone. There was one movie that came out many years ago where they showed one of the last of the remaining black samurai. They killed him, and he had real long braids. He looked like a Fulani man. He had real long braids, and they finally killed him. He was one of the last remaining of the original black people who were in Japan, and he was killed in the 1600s. He was jet black in color. He had long braids and stuff, and he carried a big sword, and he was a tall man. He was finally killed, and that was the last of it. But Japan tried to hide that. In recent times now, some of the younger generation have exposed that. So we have Sar, Sin. Okay, my uncle, my cousin Baba, who's the elder of our clan, has the name Sin as well there. Okay, Sin. So we have that, and Kara. Kara, we still have this name today with the Fulani people and whatnot. So we get back to this. I'll get to you guys' questions in a minute. Just hold fast here. Keep this train of thought. The Exodus, brothers and sisters, was again a very painful situation for all West Africans. We understand them today. And they had to leave, and they did leave. And then in the Fotofola community, as we understand that, they were not known as that at that time. They were known as Ka and Ba people and Sao. But Sao was actually finally replaced, but I'll get more into that as we go. And that Trail of Tears was something, and they were hurting, brothers and sisters, and you were expelled from your home. You were expelled. And the Fotofola people, just like the West Africans, they wore beautiful clothing and headdresses, as King Camp taught also in the classes. We've had this situation where we had beautiful clothing, and they took many of this type of thing back to West Africa, and we still carry these traditions in West Africa today. The Fotofola community, the Fulani, the Fula, the Pulo, we still carry the braids as a badge of honor and respect, and this is a tradition among us. When we left Kempt, we had braids, or men and women both wore long braids. This is what we know, and we have this evidence to suggest that. And so now they're leaving this Exodus, And I marvel when I think about what the Tubal Romans and Greeks and Persians who were now controlling Ta-Meri, what they were thinking about as the Exodus occurred and whatnot. I just wonder, brothers and sisters, what their thoughts were when they seen this and whatnot. And we know also, brothers and sisters, we have to talk about something. This is a true fact. The Greeks, the Romans, the Persians all had sexual relations with many of our Fulani women. We cannot get past that. And the racism that we understand today, they did not have this type of racism. The mixing did occur. As Romans, Greeks, Persians came into the region, they found beautiful Fulani type women there, and they married with these women and they had children. These children created a new prototype Fulani person. And the murals depicted again the Fulani woman as a very, very luscious, I don't know the English word now, I'm looking for it. Very, I don't know what word I'm looking for, but very luscious, desirable type woman. So mixing occurred a lot between our woman and the Tubal men. And they took these type of women as their wives. It wasn't a thing of slavery as we understand today. They took them as really as their wives. It wasn't a thing of power where he started to take black women and misuse them, abuse them. No, they took them as wives. When our Fulani sisters had children, those children from the Greeks and from the Romans mixture, they married another child who was the same mixture. That's why the Fulani people today have all these similar in colors. There's no such thing as one prototype Fulani. You'll find Fulani 6'7", 6'8", very tall, light skin, bushy hair. You'll find another Fulani person who is 5'10", very, very dark in complexion. So we have different types in the Futafula community because of the mixing that happened back in Ta-Meri. Our sisters was forefront in that because they married with Roman men and Greek men, and they produced a new prototype Fulani person. By the 18th century, by the 18th dynasty, now the Futafula people were no longer jet black anymore. There were now complexions like African Americans, some light skin, some dark skin, but all men and women both had different hair. Our brothers from like our Hausa brothers and others like this, they still maintain the Nubian, the Tasseti hairstyles, very kinky hair. But because of the mixing that happened and a new prototype Fulani came about, this mixture caused us to have hair less kinky and our hair grew longer and down. This is a simple fact. That's why the Fulani person still today looks different than most all West Africans because of the mixture that happened 5,000 to 6,000 years ago. So I want that to be understood. And then the prototypes begin to look like this, brothers and sisters. You see, they're still black, but their hair is not as kinky as our Hausa brothers and our Igbo brothers and our Yoruba and Akan brothers. The Futafula still maintained a different look, even though he was a black man. Yes, he was Kemtiyu. He was a Kemtiyu. Yes, he's Kemti. But you see, his hair was not as kinky because of the mixing that happened in prior generations. So I want that understood, brothers and sisters. And so we'll look at this. Let's look at some of our comments. Our brothers had to say. Okay, our brother here said this. Yes, we fully agree to that. And our brother said, if you know about the history of one of our his knowledge of wisdom, secrets, and relationship with the and you see the real connection with the ancient. There was a lot of connections, my dear brother. There was a lot. Okay, there's more than what I would have to stay for 1 week to talk about all the issues of all of the things, the mixing, and so forth and so on. But it doesn't explain how we had the cultural traits, why the Fulani look different than other West Africans. See, That is something that we don't discuss much. And we have a contention because many of our West African brothers and sisters have questions about this. So they look at this. I'm hoping many will see this, but most likely YouTube will prevent many people from watching this. I'll only show 30, 40 views because that's what has been going on with me now. And it doesn't make sense because when I look in the studio, I see for the month, for up to 30 days, 3,000, 4,000 views. But if you look at my counter, it only shows 30, it only shows 100 or something like that. But the West African people, and one of the contentions that why there's trouble in West Africa in the Sahel is because they look at us as foreigners, because they say, you don't look like me. You're talking about the Akan people, look at and the Kumasi and the Asante and so forth, and the Fante and all these people, they look because they're darker and their hair is kinky. They go to the north, they find Fulani people who are lighter complected, some in my complexion, and straighter hair with braids. So they tried to figure them out. And even many of them suggest they weren't even African. This is not right. They are Kemtiyu. It's just, again, no different. They mixed and they created a prototype person, and that's why the Fulani person looks the way he looks today. Those generations, the natural selection, because of the mixture, these children married one another. That's why you got the people who look like me. You got some that look light-skinned. You got some that almost look like they're Mexicans. You have some that even look like they're Asians from China. You have all this type of mixture. That's why the Fula community is very different. Ka Ra, yes, Ka and Ra. This is something, and I'm going to talk about this here in a bit. And we have yes, they were the early Japanese people. That's right. And that's him right there. The first one was a black man, was Kemti. He was Kemti. He was the first designated as a samurai. He was a Kemti. That's right, brothers and sisters. This education, this gem of discovery and education now has come out. And this is something why this history is important. It shows that somebody, the black folk, the Kemtiyu left that region and founded and went into Japan. We know this. And it's funny that the early Japanese people have the name Anu. And the first of the people who went in, we knew in the Nile Valley, they were the Anu people, but the ethnic people, they were Ani. Very interesting, isn't it? Similar names. But we know that the black people, Kemtiyu left because why? If you look at the Indian Ocean, look at the subcontinent India, those Sentinel Island and those islands around there, and those who are on those islands? They are Kemtiyu people. They're still there. That's right. So it goes to show you they migrated from Kemt and into this region thousands and thousands of years ago. Thank you, my dear brother, for that information. Yes, he was a black man. That's right. He was Kemti. He was a Kemti. No doubt about that. We know that now. And oh, hey, how you doing, my dear cousin? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Alaikum salam. And our brother here says, are being used to depopulate. No, my dear brother. And you know what? You didn't even give anybody salam. I'm gonna give you a second or so if you're still present to give us your salam. If you don't, I'm gonna remove. I'm not gonna have that. If you are a Kemti, you know the rules of our people, and we always greet. I don't care if you're in Ghana, if you're in Nigeria, we have languages, and we greet somebody. If you know that you Fula and you're from the West, we know Anzarama. We know this, and we go down the line. So you greet your brothers and stuff, your elder. This is respect. If you can't do that, then I'm going to run you. I'm not going to play that because I don't do that on my place. If you don't greet us and you disrespect us this way, I'm not going to honor you. And matter of fact, you better put something out here. I don't think matter of fact, I'm not going to even play with this guy. I'm going to throw him out. You're gone. I don't have time for I know this not these people are probably imposters. They want to start something. I don't have time for it. We're Kemtiyu people, and we love one another. And one of the first amounts of respect is always to give your greetings to especially your elders and to your brothers and sisters. This is a culture that we seem to have forgotten, and I'm not going to play that. Not on my show. I won't play that. Okay, brothers and sisters. Now let's go back to this the issue here of the migration and so forth. Now the Exodus, they're leaving, brothers and sisters. They left. They can't stand there no more. The Tuba is running things. The Tuba is a beautiful, it's a brutal occupation, forcing everybody to leave who are black. They had to leave. It's gone. Since the Romans came in and began killing everybody, anyone who had knowledge, they killed them. And then they killed them gruesomely. I mean, gruesome, buried them alive, hung them up, as crucifixions. They did all kinds of things to the Kemtiyu people, and they began to leave. It was a brutal massacre, brutal. And again, our brothers and sisters begin to leave, as you see in these depictions. Now, one of the most important factors in this, brothers and sisters, is that the cattle that we know that left, and you notice something, that the Fulani cattlemen and our cattle are different than most other because of the relationship. Because when they left out of there, our cattle is different, even as with the people. It's very interesting, isn't it? You look at the Fotofola, the Kemti man, you look at him and you look at his cattle. They're different than many in West Africa. The Kemti is different. He's Fulani, Fula, Pulo, he's that. But he's different in parents and everything else than his other West African brother. You look at our West African brothers on the coastal part, and you look at their cattle versus the cattle that the Fulani have, different. That's right. See, so that's another issue and another story in itself as well. So now, brothers and sisters, we got into a lot of different aspects. And I'm looking over at my notes. Now we're going to get into the names, which is very important and whatnot. But I'm gonna preface this by telling you, we don't have all. This is some. And I know today, when I was getting my notes and writing, I know I was being monitored because I saw my thing, and I know they would copy this. I understand that, and they would give it to their to our what you call traders among us. I know that because I saw when I was writing notes, I come back, the notes are gone. They would move it. So that means they were taking the notes from me and giving it to their people. I know. And I don't care, because they want to, and they want to come on the show with some madness. I'm going to throw them. I'm not going to have it. But the ancient clans that begin to leave Ta-Meri were very interesting. The Ka-Ra, okay, as you see today in modern times, became Korah. Now, Kara, remember, if you had my class talking about the Ka and Ba, the Kara is the place of burial. The first dynasties, second and third dynasties, many of the pharaohs were known as Kara. This name is still with us today in the Fulani, the Fotofola community. Also in this time, the Sin, S-E-N, Sin, those of our Mandinka and our Sanike and Seri brothers still maintain this name today as well. Then we had the Bari clans of the Fulani who left. They became Bari. Fari was also the name that was used, and Fari also in Mende means, the pharaoh means a king. We know that the high class, the upper, what you call the bourgeois, as the English, French, the upper class, rich Fulani men who had cattle and prestige and power, And this clan, and also they were pharaohs. They were Bahri, okay? Ba, again, designating a person. And also you got to understand something about the Neher. The Ba also can represent a place and people. You got to understand that. Re was another name for Ra, means the source behind the sun. So you have Bahri was a high-class Fulani person. And then that name over centuries changed to Bari and Fari. Now here's the contention here. The Salimaka is one of the great clans in Mali at one time, where they became scholars in Timbuktu and so forth and so on, and whatnot, and sultans. We know that. We know 4 Gallo. The Gallo also is a clan of the Fulani people who became Diallo. See, so the names begin to change. Number 5, Ka, the Ka people who still maintain this, the ethnic group among us, now became Ka with the H on it. We had the people, another clan called Ba, the Fulani, who became the Ba is B-A-H. Then we had the Sao. As you understand, again, the Sao was one of the original names. It became Sao. Number 8, Sani people became the Sani, yes, still kept that, but the Sadi people. Now, when the Fulani people were up in the north, in Al-Maghrib region, I'll get into that. The names, because of the Arabic, they transposed the names. Sani, we still have this all through the Western Corridor, all the way even into Nigeria today. And as you further north, because of the Arabic speaking, this Sani name transposed to Sadi. See, and it was one of the great, powerful empires of the sultanates in Al-Maghrib. So I wanted to get you guys to see that. Now, okay, I'll get to that. Now, number 9, Fulbe. Now, Fulbe is also became Fulbe. This is, again, a clan. Then we had the Gove. This is a clan. They had the Gave. That was a clan. Faleta. Remember we talking about the Faleta people. The Faleta were also Fulani people, but the Faleta people stayed more into Sudan and into the Nubia region for education purposes, but Taseti, Taneheshi, and the Faleta people stayed there. They did migrate some to the west, and then they came back to the east and settled back in Sudan, because that's their homeland for this clan. Then we had the Fula Kunda people, who were also another clan of Fulani. Then we had the Boboros, who became Moboro, who went further south and stayed to the central part. Then we had the Leptako, and they went to the west, and then they intermarried with other Fulani people, and these clans, actually the clan name disappeared, unless we have some brothers who maybe know of this name, and they can tell us if they still are in the Niger, Burkina Faso region. I don't know. And then we had Gurma. These are the some of the clans of Fulani. This is some. Now, after the 300, the 600s, we jump forward. The 600s, Islam came. Isn't that right, brothers and sisters? Islam came. And Islam was brought to the Sahara, and the Afro-Arabs came into the Sahara, which is Sahara in the English, and they began to spread this to the Futafula clans. The Futafula clans all through the Sahara. You saw some of the names of some of the clans. You saw some of the names of some of the clans who now accepted Islam. And this is in the 600s. Something happened, brothers and sisters, and I'll get to this. And now we have discoveries. Some of our Fulani scholars have uncovered this. We don't have this 100%, but we have enough to suggest this happened. see what this note here. Okay, yes, yeah, okay, we covered that. Something happened, brothers and sisters, in the migration that occurred from Egypt. Let's go back to the map from Ta-Meri to your right, modern day Egypt, all the way across the desert. You look from modern day Libya across to northern part Niger, part of Algiers, we understand today. The Fotofola were there. All of these clans were present. Many of these clans were present at this time. Many of these clans were present, and probably many more that I can't list here that I don't even know about. But we do know many of them did come. Something happened. They began, brothers and sisters, many of the clans began to migrate to Al-Maghrib, Morocco. I'll get to your questions in a minute, my brothers and sisters. Hold it, please hold it. They went to Al-Maghrib. Somebody called or the reciprocity between the clans. Again, these clans, something happened. All of these clans and many more of the Fulani people who left ancient Ta-Meri, now settled in Sahara, end up in Morocco in English. And all the clans at the time stayed there and they united in Al-Maghrib. That's right, brothers and sisters. Because why? The Tuareg, the Amazigh have always been around the Fulani people. We've always mixed. And you know, they were black. Now, of course, modern time, you heard my class talking about this before. I won't get more into this. If you have my class, you know I talked about the ancient Amazigh and Tuareg people were jet black in color because we have murals of what the Portuguese drew, what they saw. And he saw nothing but black Tuareg and Amazigh people at that time. What's interesting, brothers and sisters, is that the clans united in Morocco about 600 after accepting Islam in the 600s. They went into Al-Maghrib and all the clans. Now, this is why it got very interesting about the clans. As the clans met, many of the weaker clans began to be absorbed by the stronger clans like the Sani clans and the Salamaka clans and so forth again. So some of the weaker Fulani clans no longer, they disappeared. They just disappeared because they begin to mix with their stronger Fulani brothers. So some of these that we talk about today, the Gorma and Fulani people, they were absorbed in bigger Fulani clans. The Bari, still we have them today. This is how this came about. The Jalo people now became Jalo. All this type of thing. Now you understand how this kind of came down. So they all met again, brothers and sisters, in Al-Maghrib. There was somebody called the clans to get together and they all came to Al-Maghrib. This is why, brothers and sisters, Islam took off from Al-Maghrib and why this jihad from Al-Maghrib was so strong. You had all the Fulani clans were there. All of the Fulani clans came and they all united in Al-Maghrib in the 600s. Then, because of Islam, as they begin to spread the Islam in a jihad, they moved southwest, settled in Takrur. And at this time, you had the Ghana Empire. They began to take on the Ghana Empire because the Fulani jihad and the clans of the Fulani got together along with their Tuareg brothers, Amazigh brothers, and they began on a jihad. So they went to the Takrur region. They spread southwards. They spread westwards back to all the way across back into the east, into Sudan as we understand it today. So the first jihad was actually when they left Al-Maghrib. The first jihad is when the clans actually got together, brothers and sisters. The clans got together now. And this is the first jihad. As the clans got together, they absorbed the smaller Fulani clans, and they were the bigger clans, and were running the Futafula community, and they began to move, and they began to go on jihad. And then they came into the Takrur region. By this time now, the Fulani were still in Al-Maghrib, but the clans all left basically Al-Maghrib. Some stayed, and he settled in Takrur. Our great esteemed general, Deluxe, come on now, Ziad. Anyway, I don't know if he was Fulani. He might have even been Fulani himself, because why would he go back down to Takrur to pull them up to enter in Andalus? This is what we understand, because 711, remember the Futafula entered Andalus, which you know is Spain. See, so he went down south back. I think in my heart, he was probably a Fulani Tuareg mixed man culture, because they were all black people at this time. There was no such thing as a white Moroccan at that time. There was no white Moroccan. And we confirm this by the own racism of Roderick. Roderick was a white racist in Spain. And when he saw the invasion of the Muslims, he described the Arabs, he described the Amazigh, and he described the Fulani people. He said one was blacker than the other. That's right. Do your research. He didn't say they were white. There was no white Moroccans at this time. Roderick looked at the invaders. He said each was blacker than the other. He could not tell who was Arab, who was Tuareg, and who was Fulani. He could not, because they all also wore the face veils. Remember, I told you about this. So the Fulani who wear the turbans, this is nothing new. Back in 711, they went with turbans into Andalus. And the Arabs coined the term for us, Maladiyun, meaning the veiled ones, because we had a turban and we had veils. So that is a very interesting development. And let's look at some of our brothers here when we get back here to here. Okay, what are our brothers here? I think this is one. Okay, well, alaikum salam, my dear brother. Thank you for showing up today. And we have another. Okay, my dear brother, please. Okay, please. Okay, now you look at my caption there. Please give us your salam. Please give us your salam, please. Okay, are these different subgroups clans? Yes, these are all the clans. Some you probably know about it, others are gone because they were absorbed by the bigger, stronger Fulani clans. And I'll put those clans up there again. And our brother here, so okay, yes, my dear brother, I understand you're a professional teacher. You got your students you got to take care. Here we go. Yes, Tariq Ibn Zayed. This is the name. And I wonder myself if he is actually Fulani, because he went back down to Takrur, because all the Fulani clans went back to Takrur. He went there to pick up all the Fulani brothers again and bring it into Spain for the Jihad in 711. This is why I have a contention in my mind. And that also explains my heritage, because my great-great-grandmother in 1850s had the name Fatma, which is a common name of the people. And I look at my sister's DNA. My sister's DNA, she has a lot of Amazigh blood, almost 25%. So she was a mixed Fulani and Amazigh. Don't look at the Amazigh today, because you know they're very pale. No, they were black. By the time the 1800s, now whitening occurred. Why? Because the Europeans, the Tubab from France, Spain, England, other areas from the East, they began to go into Al-Maghrib as Muslims, and they married with many of the mixed race people of Al-Maghrib. And this is why you have the very lightning of the shades of color here in Al-Maghrib, because of the Europeans who came in as Muslims and they married. And the black people began to, the Kemtiyu went further south. That's why when you go further south, Al-Maghrib, you see the people start to become blacker and blacker and blacker, kinkier hair, different culture, and so forth and so on. That's how that came about. So now you had that backdrop. So that migration, now you have it. Now I'm going to put this back up again so our brother can look at these clans. You guys do research on these things because many of them were absorbed. But I'm going to get into some, and I see they removed it. Shh. Man, oh man, oh man. I'm going to see if I can get that file, put it here again, because I want to show you something. They removed it. They removed it, brothers and sisters. Oh man, they removed it. I had one is I want to show you something of the southwards, the brothers, the five. So no, I had they removed it. I wanted to give you a famous name. Oh man, I don't know where. I don't know where I see where they removed it. They removed it out. They removed it. I want to give you a name, something. I'm going to have to, excuse me, I'm going to have to give that name because I want to mention something of a beautiful name of the Futafula woman carried in ancient times. It's been transposed. Now, let me make sure I don't have that. No, I don't. It's been removed. I had it here, and these. Let me see here. Nope, that's not it. They removed it. I'm gonna have to write that down, and then I have to put it on the thing. What is important, brothers and sisters, that I have to relay this to you. There was a name that if you look at names of one of the wives of one of the Ramses had a beautiful name. Boy, I can't tell. She was Asata Ka, yeah. So, okay. Now I'm putting this in there. I hope it did it go? Okay. This name here, brothers and sisters, became this name that we have many today. We have many of this name today. This is where that name come from. The Asa actually means earth. It means Mother Earth. This is a prevalent name of the Fulani woman at the time, I think around the 22nd dynasties in ancient Kemt. And our beautiful Fulani woman, many of them had these names like this. And this is why the Isato Sao, this is where it came from. I don't know if many people, I wrote about this before. I don't know many people understand that or not. And one of the most beautiful of the Fulani women, I mean, had this name, and she was one of the wives of one of the Ramses. And she had this beautiful name. That's a beautiful name for a Kemtiyu child, a woman, a girl child. That's a beautiful name for her. Even for a Fulani girl to have a name Asa Takasao, you can put and you can put it together if you want, but this is a name that's germane to the Fulani people. And so I got this information for you today, brothers and sisters, and I wanted to talk about that. And I'm hoping that you guys got a little history from this, because it's important that we get a grasp of this. And what is so important is that these clans, brothers and sisters, this is what is interesting here is the clans, because it's not one. There's oppression even among the Fulani people, the full people today. Everybody thinks it is this one. It was not. There were many clans of the Fulani people, many clans, and more so than what I put here. But these are some that I discovered. And if you looked at many of the names of the Futafula the sultans in ancient in Mali, under the Messina, they were heads of their clan. If you guys saw my video, it's like 30 seconds long. I gave many of the powerful sultans of the Messina, and you saw them, and many of their clans were head of their clans. So when they came to power, they were head of their particular clan. And remember, the Sawadi is another one of the clan. The Swadi actually means a Fulde and Messina. That means black, very, very black people. So, and he was the head of his clan. So again, I didn't even mention all of them. But if you look at many of the sultans of the Messina, they were heads of their clan when they took over. Many of them kept Arabic names and so forth and so on. But I wanted to get that so you guys, you can understand that, especially all the Kemtiyu people, all Africans. This is history, African history. Kemtiyu history. But what is in contention is how do they end up in Al-Maghrib? And all the clans now we know united. This is what is interesting, why further investigation has to be done. We know also in Al-Maghrib, where I live today, one of the most highly regarded masjids that you can find was named after a Fulani woman. I don't know if you guys know that, but it's true. You do your research. One of the most, I'm not going to say sacred. That's a bad word. One of the most heralded masjids we have here was founded by a Fulani woman. The Fulani people were here, brothers and sisters. The contention is who called for the jihad, who called for all the clans to unite in Al-Maghrib. And they came into Al-Maghrib, which is Morocco, and they left to go further south, and they began to populate the regions under Islamic banner, and they ended up in Takur. Takur is northern Senegal. This is what is interesting. And all of these clans, I mean, especially these here, all of these clans here were represented, plus Sawadi. There was I forgot some of the other clans. There's so many of the Fulani clans. It was not one. So whoever, even our Fulani brothers and sisters, when they say no, it was just one, the Fulani people came across and said no. They had different clans of Fulani, but they united in Al-Maghrib. As they began to go back to the east, they start to populate into Nigeria and places. Their dialects, they kept their dialects in their dialect. That's why we have many dialects of the Fotofola language. That's why we have that. But many of the clans that we know today are no longer, because why? They were absorbed. The Faleta are in Sudan. They're still in that region today. We also know the Boboros became Moboro, which is in the Cameroons and so forth and so on. We know they were there. The Liptako, we don't know what happened to them, but we know it was a Fulani clan. The Gorma, we don't know what happened to them. Maybe some of our brothers who are living in West Africa, coastal West Africa, maybe maybe they have information on this. But I know that many of them were absorbed, and they no longer became who we see them today. The stronger ones, the Kara, the Bari, the Manka, the Galo became. These are the stronger Fulani clans who absorbed many. We know that. So, and the Sani also were a powerful Fulani group, and they again went back up. They went from Al-Maghrib into West Africa, and then they left West Africa to go back, of course, in Jihad again into Al-Maghrib. They were now known as the Sadi people, this in Arabic, but in the Fofori, we know them as Sani, but in Arabic, there's the Sadi people. Okay, so all of this is fascinating history, brothers and sisters, that I gave you today, and I'm hoping that you do some research on this. This is not to slight any ethnic group. I'm not talking about that, but I wanted to give, because there's so much contention of talking about the Fulani people, why we have so many different names, why our languages are quite different than the others, and so forth. So why we have different appearances. We have different appearances because of the mixtures, brothers and sisters, because of the mixtures that happen 5,000 years ago, these mixtures caused us to look different. Anytime you mix with other races of people, like today, we have our Kemtiyu brothers marrying Korean woman, they marry Japanese woman. We have now, we have African Americans are going over to India, and India is a highly racist place for us, but many of the girls are starting to wise up. And we have African American brothers going to India and marrying Indian girls. And many of them are very dark skinned. Some are light, but most of them are dark brown skin like African Americans. And they bring their wives over and they're having children. So we have that because of these mixtures with different people. This is why we have the look we have. This is why the Fotofola always, and they were always noted for this. This is a recap. They're always noted for their braids, especially after the 18th dynasty across. We know when they came across, when you see people with the braids, they know these are the Fulani people. The Fulani people we know today became the Habasha. They became the people from Somaliland, Eritrea, Djibouti, and these areas. That's what we all look like, because we are the same people. It's just that the one branch went to the west and the other branch went to the southeast. See, so that's how we got this look about ourselves and whatnot. We always had this different appearance, and this is why the West Africans are so confused about us, because they see many of us are dark skinned color, but they see our hair is not the same as theirs. And now you understand why. Because when our sisters were in this region, they begin to, the Romans, the Greeks, the mixed race, that in the Jazira Arab, we have mixed race, black and white people at that time. They begin to come into Ta-Meri, Egypt. And when they came in, they found these beautiful girls, Fulani girls we understand today, and they married them. That's why the Fulani people have a different opinion. I mean, different, DNA, even their DNA is a little different because they have mixed with others and so forth and so on. And our sisters were forefront in this mixture because they were wives to invaders of the Romans and the Greeks and so forth and so on. And they made a prototype Fulani person. So now you understand how this came about. And that's why it's important to understand that. And you see how we were different. When they knew us there in Ta-Meri, they called us the Sao, and they knew that who we were. We had aristocrats among us. They had all the cattle, and then we had those who took care of the cattle, and they became very wealthy for that. But that look, because the murals always depicted the Fulani people, who we think they had to be Fulani, because the Fulani and the Habasha people from Ethiopia, Somaliland, all of us have the same look. Now, one anthropologist did studies on the skull, and he said that he linked the Habasha people and with the Fulani people, that our skulls are almost the same. So that means we are the same people. It's just the one drifted southeast, the other drifted to the west. So, and we have this. Now you understand why we had these different types of look, and our sisters were just gorgeous. They were very, very, very beautiful woman, and depicted in the murals as that. And so now
we will make it, my children.
Yes, the desert always provides.
So you have it there, brothers and sisters. I gave you a very brief history about the migration, the exodus that occurred, and now we have this we have the impetus to do us more more research. But I wanted to get this, and especially for the Fulani people, now you have that. Now you understand. Because I heard many brothers tell me the same thing. They think everybody came from one, and it's not true. We came from Ancient Ta-Meri, but we came in spurts. And we had different clans, as you know now. I gave you, I mean, it's probably hundreds of different clans, but I gave you some. Because I didn't give you Sawadi. Sawadi was a clan. They were very black Fulani people. And when one of the Sawadis came, he became the Sultan. And many of the Sultans were heads of their clan. The Galo, the Sawadi, and there's many others. The Salamaka, all those, they were heads of their clan and they became Sultan. That's how you have to look at that. If you looked at my video talking about the Messina, remember I showed you some of the Fulani sultans of Messina, right? Because it was a Fulani empire, it's sultanate. Those people, you see the names of them. If you look at their names, they were usually the head of their clans. See, so now you understand, my Fulbe community, that all of these clans, they were absorbed. And so many of the clans, we don't know what happened to them because they they went into other clans in Morocco, and they became like generally one clan at that time, but they began to go south and they went to go east. Then they became clans again, and they had dialects. This is how we can explain why the Fulfulde dialect, there are many different dialects. So now you have the understanding, brothers and sisters, with that. And I see we got a couple of questions here, and I'll get to that. And our brother here. Walaikum salam. Thank you, my dear brother. Thank you very much for your greetings. Thank you. And Russ said someone may have mixed with Torah. Yes, you arrived late. I already talked about that. I talked about the meeting of all the clans, and the clans came to Al-Maghrib, and that's where the Jihad actually originated from. The Fulani Jihad originated from it. It didn't originate from Nigeria. It originated from Al-Maghrib, which we know as Morocco. And they went further south. They went to Takrir, which is northern Senegal, and they were there. The Fulani clans had now already mixed. That's why many of the clans, again, that we talked about, that I was saying, those clans, we don't know what happened to them. They were absorbed. They're gone. Many of the clans we're talking about now, they're gone. Some are out to the east. Many of them absorbed. Many came with the Bari clan. Some went with the Sawadi, and some went with the Salamaka clans. You see, the Boboros became the Moboro. So we have that. So you have to understand the history for you, Fulani brother and sister, that these clans got together, and they united in Al-Maghrib, and they went south, and they began to go east. This is a very interesting, and we don't have all of the evidence, but we have a lot of it now to make the inference here that this is what happened. See, and this is why it's so important that we understand that. Again, the clans united in Al-Maghrib in the 600s. The Fulani clans they came to Al-Maghrib, and who called for this unification of the Fulani? Who called for it? This is something, we don't have this information yet. We don't have it. But we know that something happened because the clans came to Al-Maghrib. And we know they went southwards into Takrur, which is today in northern Nigeria. And then we know they spread across eastwards and went all the way back into Habasha, which is Ethiopia. So we know the Jihad was there. The Jihad from Takrur, we talk about here, were all mixed Fulani clans who were now one. They were no longer Sawadi or any other. They were now one, just Fulani branch of Muslims. They were just Muslims. Their ethnic clans were not evident at that more. It was finished now. But then when they returned back from Andalus to come back into Al-Maghrib, which is Morocco, then the ethnic clans began to take place again. By the time the 14th century, 1400s came, the ethnic clans of the Fulani were evident. the Sawadi and all these other different clans. I don't know if I have their, no, I don't have their here. I don't have their, all the clans. Let me see if this is it. Let me see if this, no, this, oh, that's my DNA. Excuse me. No, I don't have it here. But anyway, you guys got my my synopsis of this and what happened and whatnot. And again, I can't stress something, brothers and sisters, is that even 5,000 years or more or so, the Fulani people were known as beautiful people as they know today. Even though maybe people hate us, but they will attest, they have to admit that the Fulani people are very beautiful people in their physical appearances and so forth, especially our sisters. Nobody can deny that. Even back 5,000 years ago, the Greeks, the Romans, and mixed race from the Jazira Arab found our Fulani women as irresistible. They had to have them. And they did have them, and they began to mate with them, and they began to produce a type. They began to produce another hybrid type of Fulani person and whatnot. And when our, by the 18th dynasty, they start to have murals of girls that were similar to this. This is why now you see in the murals, you see all of these beautiful queens and so forth. You see them with long braids. You didn't see this in the first dynasties. In the first dynasties of ancient Egypt, Kemt. You didn't see that. But you start to find beautiful queens that look like this around the 18th century, 18th dynasty, down to the 25th. You start to find them like this. You find many of them like this, which makes it so very, very interesting, brothers and sisters. I mean, it makes it very fascinating. And again, like I said, when they encountered these the prototype Fulani, they saw beauty in the man. We wore beautiful hairstyles that made us distinguish. Beautiful. If you look at the Ramses and all of the Ramses, you see them all, they were very handsome pharaohs. And they had the braid, which if those come late, I'm going to show you this again before I
Mende. Chinpi rangibe yar, baritiyama tavonjahe. Anki samke damlasin hingapna jadhawana diaya.
So the Fulani pharaohs, which we believe the Ramses were, all had the braid. If you look at the mural, look at the Ramses, all of the Pharaoh Ramses, you see them, they have a new style of hairstyle, the braid, because they had longer hair now because of the mixing, again, of our sisters like this with the Greeks and the Romans. And it created a new prototype Fulani person. See, so, you know, I keep going over to, because pound this in your head to make sure you understand and what happened and then the Exodus. But I want you to understand what happened to Fulani, because there's contention why we look so different. As I told you before, I didn't understand my heritage because they made sure us in America, we didn't have, they only think they want to teach us that we were black and that we were slaves. That's all they wanted. And we had no history. But, you know, when you start looking at our families, I looked at on my mom's side, who's Fulani. She's a Fulani woman. She's now passed on. Her hair was down. Okay. I mean, when she was a young woman, especially, you guys saw some of our programs, I showed you her, what she looked like. And many of my Fulani brothers in Nigeria said their mother looked just like her, my mom, where she looked. My mother's hair was down to the ground. My sister, when she was younger, she was here, she would tell you her hair was way down to the ground as well. Real long hair, my sister. This is the Fulani effect, because this was carried way back 6,000 years, and he created a prototype Fulani person, and that's why we look different. And now I'm hoping that you guys got that understanding on what happened with the Fulani people, why they look different. And I gave you the instances of this. And I can't keep harping on the beauty and so forth and why. And now you understand, because the murals, and I'm giving you a depiction of way the murals showed our sisters. The murals showed our sisters looking like this. See, and they showed the murals of sisters. And of course, when we left, we had beautiful Fulani sisters to your left, again, in braids. This is one of the trademarks of our people, is the braids, brothers and sisters. The braids. That's why you African Americans and many of you Africans, you think that you just created something. This stuff was going on 6,000, 7,000 years well before that. And the Fulani woman was noted for that, and the man was noted for that, especially by the time when they became a new prototype. When they came in the first dynasty, they were jet black in color. They were the Anu people, and they became the Sao people. We know that. By the 18th dynasty, because of the mixing they had with the Greeks and Romans, they start to look like this, because they have less kinky hair and they have long hair. So they start to look like this. See, and noted again for the beauty. And you have to look at that. And our brothers that look like this, you knew the Fulani type because of the braids. And now you have that. Now you can understand why, and how we are different than the others. And now you got a picture of what happened in ancient times and how we looked, generally speaking. And so I'm hoping that you guys run with that. And you guys start doing your research, and now you have a better picture of what happened to the Fulani people and so forth and so on, and why they look different, because of the mixtures they have with the Greeks and Romans and the interlopers who came from Jazira Arab, who are now mixed white and black. They come into Ta-Meri to the north, with northern Egypt today. And when they came to northern Egypt, they found these girls. And they could not resist them. And they began to marry with these girls. And by the time the 18th dynasty, the Fulani person now was totally different. And by the 18th century, as you see by my tapes again, here, they now took on a different approach and different features, and they became beautiful. They were taller and thinner, and as you see, our sisters were noted for their braids and their beautiful skin color and the way they took care of themselves. By the 18th dynasty, the Fulani people were known as the Ka people at this time now. The Ka or Kara people. They were no longer Sao, because now the religion came in of the Ka. You remember that, of the Ka. My class here, me and Cam talked about this the other day. The Ka, and now they became the Ka people. That's what they were known them as. And the Ka people, you always knew who they were because of their beauty.
We will make it, my children.
Yes, the desert always provides.
So now you have it, brothers and sisters. You got that. I got a couple more questions here before I go here. We got some. Okay, yes, we just covered that. We talked about that. And why is Sufism a spirit? Yet I talked about some of this, and I'm going to do a more further class later about the. So you got, because you need to follow my. Wait a minute, brother. Did you? I think wait a minute. You still refuse to greet us. I don't see any of your greetings here. No, brother. I told you to give your greetings and you refuse to do this. I see, because up here earlier, I see where you had your comment, and I asked you here to please give us your greeting. And I see this is your early comment. I asked you please to greet us, and I see that you refuse and you want to talk about something else. So now you're gone. And that's it. I don't think this brother's African. I think he's a Tubab and he's a provocateur. I told him to give salam. He refused. So he pays the price for that. So now I think that's what we got here as far as the questions and everything. Brothers, sisters, you know, the history is so beautiful. When you talk about history of all African people, we all have stories. The Yoruba, they have a beautiful story as well, because you can link them, because you look at DNA, you link them to Ta-Meri as well. The Igbo, the Akan, all have beautiful stories. But this one, wait a minute, we got somebody here. Wait a minute here. Let me see what this sister to say here. I can't. Okay, wait a minute. Let me see what the sister here. Okay, Shalom Alaikum. Thank you, my dear sister. Thank you for showing up today. Shalom Alaikum. Thank you very much for showing up, and see what our sister has to say. Do you know anything about the Jebel Bark? No, I'm not sure. Are you talking about the towers that's in the Bible? I don't know if that's what you're talking about. I can't remember all the stories about that, but I'm not familiar. But what would you please, if you're still here, tell me what you're trying to what you're surmising, what history you're talking about. If you hear, my dear sister, please give us a response to that, because if you're talking about the Tower of Babel, I'm not sure what one you're talking about. You're talking about the biblical history. So please, if you're still here, please give us your answer to that. And our sister says here, the Rock of Gibraltar. You talking about when the Rock of? Oh yes, okay, yes, that's here on Maghreb. The Rock of Gibraltar is right there. Is the area there in between Al Maghreb and Spain, and it was named after Zayd, our brother Tariq ibn Zayed. It was named basically after him. That's where that name came from. And then we got something here. She said Sudan was built there by King Shabaka. Yes, and King Shabaka again. We in the if you look at the Book of the Dead, you'll see that they listed him as in Kasha. Kasha is in present day Ethiopia as we know it today, and so all of the temples, because there's more pyramids in Sudan than in Egypt. I'm using Egypt as an educational purpose again for those who don't understand, who are new, don't understand what Ta-Meri. Ta-Meri means Egypt, and there was many pyramids that was established during the time of my great ancestor. And our brother here's Walaikum Salam, my dear brother. Thank you for showing up today. I thought the traditional suit came from the Turks. No, my dear brother, that's not really the case. The real, let me put your question back up there again. No, the Sufis, if you understand what it actually means, the first of all Sufi was the Prophet Muhammad himself, and the Sahaba, his companions, alayhi salam, for him, and salam alaikum to all the companions, and so forth and so on. And this developed out of that into Andalus, and then we had people develop and the Sufism, and I'm gonna get a class into that. But it wasn't until Andalus that they actually start developing branches of it. Tariqa is what they call this, and then he started going into mysticisms. Mysticism was already with the Prophet Islam, because why? He was given mysteries. He gave answers to many mysteries that we did not know about, that our ancient brothers in Kempt and Ta-Seti had. Prophet Muhammad answered those things. But the Sufism began to take off. The Ottomans took it, yes, and the Fulani took it as well. The Hausa, many took this, and the Moroccans, where I live here. If you want to study about the Tasawwuf, this is what we call this, Tasawwuf, but Tasawwuf, you come here to Al-Maghrib. This is big here because many of the great Sufi masters were here. Now, I'm talking about some that they said they walked actually on the ocean water. I mean, we have all that's here, and we have some that they said they were in a discussion and they transposed themselves out. I mean, we have a lot of this, but there's no such thing as really traditional Sufism, because it branched off into many different ones, and I'll get into that to help people to understand that, inshallah ta'ala. There's also one thing. Ma'arifa. Ma'arifa is a part of the Sunni. I mean, the Sufi where you have gotten knowledge from Subhanahu wa Ta'ala that help you to. This is a special knowledge that the angels gave to certain Sufis, so where they can get into deep philosophical things about the heart, about what Subhanahu wa Ta'ala wants, and so forth. That's not taught in books. There's a lot of things about Sufism. There's not one single thing of it. There's many different branches of it, and hopefully, inshallah, I'll get into that, to talk to for those who want to understand that, because there's a lot of layers to this and whatnot. But many of the Sufis that you know today are not Muslims anymore. They became shirk billah. They started to do things and believe in things that's just not right, and so forth. And that's one of the ones I don't deal with them at all, but I have to mention them, and so forth and so on. And our brother here says, in Senegal, where it came from. Yes, yes, Senegal, we have many. And of course, again, it all depends. If they're not Sufi Sunnah, like I said, it's not easy for those who don't understand. In order to really understand Sufism in English, Mutasawwuf in Arabic language, you got to be grounded into Islam. You should understand many things about the Sunnah of the Nabi alayhi Islam, and you should understand a lot of things about fiqh Islamiyah. You must understand these things. Why? Because many brothers who they're young in Islam, they'll jump into Sufism and they don't understand. They think they're practicing the Sunnah when in fact they're not. This is why it's very dangerous, because many of the Sufi today, and I'll talk about that, are outside the fold of Islam. They're just out. They still pray and do everything else, but what they do and what they believe is wrong. And even they've made prophets out of many of the Sufi masters. Many, they pray over their graves and ask them to intercede for them with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have all of this, and it's wrong. There's no Sufi without the Sharia. Yes, and we have many. We're trying to bring many of the tariqas. This is the different groups back into the fold of Islam, and it's not easy because they've been indoctrinated into something. And this is why the Sufis go to young Muslims, meaning they're just got into Islam, and they begin to go into they go to recruit them, and they bring them into their tariqah, and then they bring them in there, and then these brothers thinking they're practicing the Sunnah of Nabi alayhi Islam, and they practice the right Islam when in fact they're not. We found this problem. We started to see that, and now some of the reformers into Mutasawwuf are trying to bring the Sufis back to the Sharia. It's not easy. It's not easy to bring them, because many of them still believe that they're doing right when in fact they're not. See, so that's an interesting situation. If there's any more questions here, I got to get ready to go prayer and get my prayer done, Maghrib. But this is a lively discussion, and I'm hoping our brother here. Well, let me see what he's got to say here. Said whoever engaged in yes, without the shield became yes. This yes, and one who engaged in fiqh without Sufism becomes a wrongdoer. Yes, because the real sulf is that of the Nabi, alayhi salatu wasalam. It's him, okay? It's him, and you follow his guide, because all the mysticism that you want, he had it. See, so you follow his lead. Even that of going into the interstellar space, our Nabi had already, he was the first one of us to do that. He was granted this power. See, so and again, we have young impressionable Muslims who get indoctrinated into wrong tariqah. They get outside of the Sunnah, and many of them stay into these tariqahs for many, many years, and they believe they're practicing on the real Islam and the Sunnah, when in fact they're not. And this is a big problem that we have with the Sufi groups today, is because they believe that they're doing right, and they will not listen to anything other than their own people. And this is a big, big, big problem today. And I will talk about that, inshallah ta'ala. And we have some reformers who are trying to bring them, reel them back into the Sunnah and back under the Sharia, but it's not easy. Some are so far gone, they cannot listen to you, and they don't want to listen to you. And they'll say that they're practicing the right Islam. They'll tell you you're not practicing. We have all of these type of difficulties, all this, and it's really a shame that this type of thing has happened and whatnot. And this is correct, because a Muslim, a rightful Muslim, is Sufi. Okay, bottom line, he's Sufi, because all Muslims have some of the, especially the spiritual mysticism already, because you're already Muslim. That's already given. You already have some parts of mysticism because Islam. And Islam answers many of the mysteries that has been fallen man for many thousands of years. So Islam came to answer many of these problems. And that's why when you follow Islam, it takes you away from all of this confusion and darkness to your left, and it brings you to your right, to the light, and so forth and so on. And this is what is, in a real, the Sufis who are real in the Sunnah and the Sharia, they do this. It's just that they have been gifted with what we call, I wish my dear brother, because it was him who brought, because you remind me of that today. Marifa. Marifa is another part of where it's a knowledge that you get directly from the angels, give this to you. And we have, that's why some of these brothers, you saw my things today, why some of the Fulani Sufi masters sit with the lions, because of Ma'arifa. See, this is what they call them. And they have some, Subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them something where they can go. You remember this, these gave you, they can go into a different dimension, and they can have, let me see if I can have some pictures here for those who didn't see these classes. What, did they remove them? Yeah. Oh, no, wait a minute. I got some. Yeah, I think I got one here. That's why you'll find Sufi masters like this who go through the savannah region, and they're with the lions, and the lions have becomes their protectors, and so forth and so on, because they've been able under Marifa to develop some code where they are in harmony with animals, and this is why the lions don't touch them, and lions actually work in their benefit. We know that. But the first of these who had this was one of the Sahaba, who had this encounter where he was walking in an area which was very with a lot of vicious animals, wild dogs. They had a wild wolf dog there in the Sahara, who was I think he's extinct now. He was kind of like a mixed between like a leopard and a dog. I forgot the name with it, but he's a dog, but he's very vicious. They kill. And he was walking in this region when he encountered a lion, and a lion began to escort him through this region and so forth and so on to protect him from these wild dogs. So this Sufism was way back with the Nabi and the companions of alayhi salatu salam, and that is a true fact. A couple more questions, then after that I'll say or what our brother have to say. I made a mistake. Here is one, the more correct one. Okay, my dear brother, yes, you made a mistake. Here are the more correct one. Okay, yeah, give us that real quickly. Okay, our brother here's got whoever studies Sufism without fiqh, yes, and is a heretic. Whoever studies fiqh without Sufism is corrupted. Yes, and when it combined is found in truth. Yes, yes. This is why we're trying to fight to bring them to the right way. Because again, it's not easy when you got indoctrinated into a program, especially when you're a young Muslim, you don't understand things. And this is a severe problem that we have. And they start to do things and develop different types of sunnahs that are not approved. And you know what that is when you have innovations and so forth and so on. They cannot. But this today is not a class on Sufism. Today, I just answered those little things. But I'm hoping, brothers and sisters, that today you have something. Please spread this tape. Please do more research. I wanted to talk about the Fulani and what happened to them. And I'm hoping that you got some answers and you start doing your research, that we united in Al-Maghrib in the 600s, and that's what happened. And many of the clans that are gone today, this is why. They were absorbed when they were united in Al-Maghrib, and this is why many of the clans the old clans that left out from Ancient Ta-Meri are no longer anymore, because they came and when they got united inside Al-Maghrib to go to Takrur, they were no longer some of the elements anymore. And new clans begin to develop after that. So I'm hoping information has helped you to understand that today, brothers and sisters. And I must leave you now. Assalamu alaikum. Rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.